So this is going to be cooking with the Crandalls part 2.
Cooking with the Crandalls. During COVID-19, we're cooking at home. Today, right now, we're starting a corned beef. So here we go.
The special edition today, we are starting up the show again. It is my mother's birthday. Happy birthday. Yep.
So a lot of you might have an Instapot that's just hanging around somewhere in your basement, or maybe sometimes periodically you get it up to the counter. All right.
Now this is a little special thing because you can technically use a crock pot or like boil water in a pot and boil the meat in the pot.
We're doing it with the GoPro, so it's not our normal situation for filming. Although I've never filmed anything yet ever.
So we cut open the package.
And we're gonna rinse it out
in the package. Kind of rinse out the blood, if you will. Same as the beast right now.
So sometimes we have our own recipes, and then other times we go to our handy dandy telephone or computer. And I usually take 3 or 4 recipes and then maybe one of my own and figure out exactly how it's going to be the best it can be. We're not doing a New England dinner. We're literally just doing a corned beef today.
It's her birthday and she gets it how she wants.
Okay, and here we go. Here's the trivet to announce my age.
Oh no. I wasn't going to mention it.
Most women don't share their age, but you got to be proud of how long you lived for.
Yeah, 60 years young.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm editing this.
Leave the fat on for flavor. You can trim it after, and that's typically what we do.
So we're gonna cut up a little onion in the bottom. Like I said, it's not gonna be a New England dinner. It's really pressure cooked corned beef. We love onion, so can't ever go wrong unless maybe you really don't like them at all. All right, so we're gonna put that on top of those onions. I'm gonna get some oil. And I'm throwing in about probably 4 tablespoons of oil. We're just gonna put like 2 cups of water. Or actually, you know what? We have some broth, so we're gonna use that.
Dad's side.
Okay, and what I do like to do, somebody taught me a long time ago, and a friend of mine, Garrett, that when you have onions, or if anybody's ever sick, you always want to leave your cut up onion out to absorb the germs in the room. And at this time, it's even a better idea. So we let it sit outside for, 6 hours or a day, and then end up putting it right into the compost. She even suggested you put it in your bedroom if someone's sick. All right, so I happen to have some vegetable stock available. So that's gonna be our broth in here.
So you can use water.
Of course, you can always use your homemade vegetable broth. Okay, this is a little tricky. You just gotta find the right spot.
And then it turns on and fits perfectly though.
Turns on, fits perfectly. Why is it not going on? Okay, you wanna make sure your vent is off so that the steam is staying in there. And I'm gonna try a different plug.
And technical difficulty.
Oops, maybe that's the problem.
And the problem is it wasn't fully plugged in on the back. So when you plug it in, it should just pop on.
There. And
There
then
we
we're
go.
going to do pressure. We want high pressure. We're going an hour and a half. Actually, I think it starts itself.
Okay. Yeah. And we have 6 minutes left on our Instapot here. We're checking in. We're going to start preparing another side dish to the meal, which will be potato soup. And you can use any sort of potato. You can mix the potatoes, as we have white potatoes and russet potatoes. And the only potatoes you don't want to use are those little potatoes like fingerling or baby potatoes. Like, so we've been peeling these potatoes. We have a few more to go.
The Instapot is cooling down.
Yeah.
It's already reached its full cooking time, and now we're letting it cool off a little before we set the steam out.
You don't want to look away at the
Flashing.
camera, because you might actually cut yourself. But
I almost always cut myself when I peel things. It's really silly. I don't understand. But they are very sharp.
my mom reminded me that I didn't put on my apron, which if you have one, they're quite nice because they keep your clothes clean. So we just peeled a bunch more potatoes. They're all ready. And we put them in cold water. And why is that?
Okay, we put it in cold water because otherwise they turn this shade of pink. It doesn't make them bad, but they look very strange. So we don't want pink soup.
So the potato soup also has onion
Yeah.
and or leeks
Yeah.
if you have them, but we have onion.
Okay, so this is a recipe from my aunt, who everybody loved, and we would go to her house, and the boys would eat potato leek soup with some crusty bread. It was their favorite thing ever. Right, so we're gonna cut up some onion because we don't have leeks, and I actually like the flavor of onion a little better. It's a little stronger than a leek soup, which is like a vichyssoise, and it's a little light on the onion flavor. We love onion.
All right, so we just take one big onion.
We actually don't need a whole big onion.
All right, good.
And the thing about onions is sometimes they say if you put them in the freezer, they're actually okay, and they don't make your eyes water.
Yeah.
But oftentimes,
A very good
I
chef
do.
has goggles ready to go.
Goggles ready to go. Oh, it looks ridiculous, but it really helps the eyes.
To dice it up
To
real
dice it
nice, we have a nice little
Which Cam's
utensil
gonna do.
here.
Cam's
And,
gonna do that in just a second.
Grab them in sections like you cut them, and it's so easy with this device. Like we said, it saves yourself from chopping with the knife, and it helps from the tears. A little more. Okay, so we want them real nice, almost minced. What do you say?
Minced onion.
Minced onion. That's what the recipe calls
All right.
for.
See how nice and chopped they are.
Recipe.
If it's not good, the onion won't chop. Like, it's kind of interesting.
I finished chopping the onions, and got me a little teary-eyed, I will say.
This is how a lot of our recipes look. Handwritten right
Handwritten.
from the table that I was working at. Then my aunt was making her soup. So we're going to dice the potatoes, chop the onions, and we're going to cook it all in chicken broth. This is a lot of onion. I don't know, maybe too much. All right.
Maybe we need more potato.
So there's two things you can do.
Maybe
you
we
can
save some.
saute the onion a little bit, gives it a different flavor, or you can start out with just straight up raw.
Okay. So we're gonna saute, because we have quite a lot of onion, as
Yeah,
she said.
it'll make it taste better.
We have this
That's hard.
is the chicken stock, or the broth.
Oh, we have no butter up here.
Oh no!
So we're gonna put just a little pat of butter in with the onions, just like a tablespoon. Now we're gonna turn that on. High to start, and just to get it going. So
Tablespoon.
I'm gonna put a tablespoon and a half, just because we do have a lot of onions there. And hopefully that knife is sharp enough. All right, can I show you a different way?
Yes.
How I like to do my potatoes is, this is good if you're making something that you care to be attractive. This we don't care what it looks like. So, boom, and boom. So I'll show you. So we're gonna take a big one. I'm gonna cut this in 3. This is a terrible knife, by the way. I don't like it to this. Could I get that out for you? So we're just gonna, I can hear the onions sizzling a little bit. And we don't really care about the size of these, just so long as they cook. And one thing my dad taught me a long time ago is that potatoes cook the same on high, medium, or low. I don't know if that's actually true, but it doesn't help to boil them at high temperatures, you can literally simmer them and they're going to cook exactly the same way.
Yep, just with a wooden spoon.
Again, we're not really, we just want to get it started. We're not really browning them. We're just kind of cooking them a little bit to get the yummy cooked onion flavor in there before we add the soup. It said that they needed to be minced.
Diced.
Diced. Oh, sorry. Diced.
Look how they're doing. They're doing alright. We have them on like medium heat, I'd say. Or something. They're sizzling, but they're not over 60.
This is not probably the right way to cut with a knife.
No. And that's not the knife we like.
No, that's all right. But I think we're doing okay. Because, you know, the whole thing is that everything just has to cook.
Yep.
You want it all cooked through like a mashed potato would be cooked through.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to add our soup stock to our onions. 2 quarts of chicken broth. And one of these is salted and the other one is no salt. Because you can always salt things yourself. And I know potatoes draw salt out of dishes, but you don't want to add, I don't want to add
Yeah, you
too
can
much
always
salt to
add
start.
more salt and not unsalt, really.
Yeah. Somebody said, who was it? Oh, Henry Ford said he would always judge a person by whether they salted and peppered their food before they tasted it. And then he knew they were goofballs if they didn't taste
Yeah,
it
he
first.
usually, I think this was a thing he would do with new hires.
Or other people he would want to possibly do business with.
Yeah.
Want me to take the camera?
No.
Okay.
We're getting up and personal. A little splash.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a little skin out of there.
Okay.
Again, you don't care. If you want to do it with skin on them, that's a preference, but
Yeah.
not our preference.
I mean, I like my mashed potatoes with some skin on it, but this is the potato soup. So
I might
it's
have too
a
much broth here, Mr.
little different. Yeah, I think you have a lot
too
of broth.
much broth.
Let's see what the recipe really said.
It says 2 cans.
Oh no! It says 2 cans.
Which is 1 thing.
Which is probably only one of those big ones.
Yeah.
So
we got a little too much broth. And
Well,
I know
that's very
by
full.
the look of it that I had way, way, way too much soup. So add those onions back.
and here is Major. Some chicken onion broth for another time. So, like she said, you actually only want to add about this much. So you want to cover the potatoes almost, but not even too much, because you actually want the broth to be kind of, or like the soup to be a little thick
Yeah, it has to be.
in the end. So that's why we needed to take out all of
You
that.
might want to add another potato. Add 2 more little potatoes.
I thought this looked good, but I guess it still is a little too soupy or liquidy of soup. So we're cooking this potato soup on high right now. For how long, Mother? Until it boils?
Well, we're going to get it to boil, and then we're going to turn it down.
Okay. Oh,
We have much more broth if you lose any.
yes, we do.
I'm still cutting things. Let the steam off of the corned beef.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to start the oven
So what?
for the corned beef for 400 degrees.
400 degrees. You should check it to make sure there's nothing in there.
This has actually been stopped steaming for 46 minutes. That's
Okay,
how long
so-
we've been away here. And we have to release the steam. And so you want to make sure it's not under your cupboards. Want to make sure it's not, you know, going to spray.
It has been 46 minutes though.
Oh, it's okay.
So there's no
There's
steam
no
in this
steam.
thing.
So that's kind of shocking.
That's a little shocking to my mother. But
All right,
it
let's
has
see
been
what
46
inside.
minutes.
Ooh. So our corned beef has shrunk. We got a lot of juices.
Oh, yes.
And which is perfect. It's like a dinner for 5, so we're good with that size, which means it's probably fork tender. What do we think?
Oh.
And see what's going on here. Ooh, perfect.
It goes right through.
Goes right through.
Pretty soft, easy.
Easy peasy.
So here's the pan we got.
You saw it to start, and I see it now. And it's definitely done well and cooked. I'm going to put it on there, and we're going to check out the fat. So there's quite a bit of fat. So what I do is I'm going to cut off some of the fat. And see, the broth is...
What do we do with this broth?
Oh, I think we can put it on it afterwards.
Oh, okay. It is cooked.
It's definitely well cooked. And we're just trimming this up so that we can basically bake it. And then this, what's left of the fat ends up going back into the meat, which makes it actually delicious. You definitely want it to be covered with fat. And I'm going to leave this extra fat just
to
on
cook
the
it
pan.
off.
So
The soup is simmering.
it's simmering. We're waiting for a boil.
I'm not sure what this is.
It's onion.
I'm
But you
taking
can
it
remove
out.
All right, they're far from cooked, so we're gonna get this guy boiling and put the cover on it.
Okay.
Like I said, we don't need it to continue boiling once it starts. As my dad said, it just continues to cook. And the potatoes will absorb some of the soup.
So the oven is around 390. It was set for 400. I think it's pretty much okay to put in.
We're gonna tuck this around it.
We're gonna flavor it with the fat so it doesn't also like dry out. Putting it in the oven. We're gonna set it to the oven timer to
like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. So
I'm gonna do one more thing with this broth to start out now, is we're gonna remove the fat.
alright,
Okay,
so we
so
have
I'm
this
gonna need-
nice tool here.
It's called a
some-
gravy separator.
the separator. That's what it is.
We're gonna start in the cup.
So how much water was in there to start?
2 cups.
2 cups. How much is there now?
4 cups.
How is that possible?
Because that's how much water was on the in the corned beef. That's why it shrunk so much. See
Yeah.
how it's already separating?
Yeah, it's just a little on the top.
All right, I'm gonna scoop out the onions
This
here.
is-
Hopefully we're not gonna spill. This cup
It
looks like
spills a little.
it does spill a little.
You just gotta be a little careful.
It is pretty hot, so it would definitely burn you.
Yeah, so be careful. As you can see, there's some steam coming from this thing. Woo!
Yeah.
These onions are being difficult. We knew they
I
would
knew
be.
they would be.
We tried to take most of them out. If you had more patience, you could have taken more out.
These guys I might saute. I think you could probably have put them on top of your corned beef. I'm not sure. I mean, usually we are making a New England boiled dinner. I never actually had that at home. We always had just corned beef because I grew up in Detroit and we weren't big on the Irish festivities. So this contraption separates the fat from the broth. And I'm going to do one more thing. So what this does is it drains off
Missed a little something.
the broth from the bottom.
Wow.
So there's a hole in the bottom and the broth comes
Look
out,
at that.
but it keeps the fat at the top.
Look at that.
So that's
So
about
it's-
as far as we're going to go. Sometimes you can go more. And when you make a turkey gravy or something, you actually use some of the fat. But not today.
These are the perks of having special devices. We are
So let's
taking
see
a
where the
peek.
potatoes are at, right? So we're looking for them to be tender. They're pretty much there.
Okay.
We're gonna let them cook another few minutes for like 5 more minutes. It can't hurt. You can't overcook the potatoes in potato soup.
Our timer just went off. We gotta go take out the roast beast.
All right, let's see how nice and toasty that looks. Oh, no, it looks a little toasty, but I think we want it toastier. So we're gonna up the
So
temp.
we like how this looks.
Yeah.
But
So
we
we're gonna
want the rest to
up
look
the temperature to 475 for just like 3 minutes.
3 minutes. We're already working on dessert because that's how our mind works. Here's what's cooking. Oatmeal chip cookies. That's a little cookie dinner or cookie treat for
Dessert.
the birthday gal.
So first thing you do is you cream a half a pound of butter, which has been softening, and 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of brown sugar.
This says the half a pound of Oleo,
Yeah,
which is technically actually, I think,
that's what everybody used to cook with.
butter
This recipe came
nowadays.
from my 2nd grade teacher in a cookbook that we made. They taste a lot like Mrs. Fields cookies, except the oatmeal isn't all blended like hers. When I saw her recipe, it looked just like Mrs. Hunzinger's recipe.
Wow. So these are our little special cookies, but you can buy them at the store as Mrs. Fields.
Yeah, these are way better. So we're gonna make 1 big cookie and then save cookie dough for later. 1 cup of sugar.
Of granulated
White
sugar. And then you do the 1 cup of brown sugar.
And brown sugar.
And that beeping was our oven hitting 475, so we have another 2 minutes, I'd say. It might be done now, actually. So this is how cooking goes. Don't want to burn it.
Keep your eye on it. That's perfect.
That
We're
is
gonna not do it
perfect.
anymore.
We like how it is, so we're gonna set that aside on this drying or cooling rack.
Nice and sizzly.
Sizzling.
And now we're gonna take a peek at our potatoes. They're doing great. So we're gonna let them.
And they've been cooking at low.
All right. So we're gonna
So we
take
got
some light brown sugar. What does this say? Light brown sugar?
1 cup of each. So
This says brown sugar.
that says brown sugar.
Okay. So we got light brown sugar.
We got light brown,
The brown is just more molasses.
which we like either. But this one, I guess we have this one.
This one is, I picked it out of the sugars that I have because it's more finely granulated, and I really want to, I want these cookies to be amazing like I remember them. So I'm going to be a little more careful with what I use. And you always want to pack your brown sugar, because that's what it looks for. And you might want to eat some of the hard chunks. They're delicious. Okay, so there's our sugar.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, wait, see, we got a big giant molasses piece right here. So sometimes those, you just have to eat them. Now we're going to get a mixer. Reorganize the drawer. These are never going here again. All right, we're back to the soup.
Taking a hiatus on the cookies.
Yeah.
Soup's ready for
the
action.
Asparagus is
Real quick and easy.
yeah. So this is an immersion blender. My favorite immersion blender.
We got the good gadgets
My
here.
favorite tool of all time. So you just basically
This is how you
gonna wash
puree
your
it.
cord. This has turbo puree, which is amazing.
So now, if we didn't have this, you'd have to mash them by hand
Or
with
you
the
can
hand
probably use a
masher
real hand mixer.
or a hand mixer. Yeah. Which we're gonna use the hand mixer for the cookies. So back to the cookies is she's got her hand mixer while I have my hand mixer.
Oh, just wash the cord.
You
Gonna
puree
wash your
it.
cord.
Luckily it didn't get in there, but it was
It
close.
would have been okay. So we do have a few pieces of brown sugar that just don't want to behave here. But we're going to cream it up until it's nice and smooth. Cam, whirred it all up, and you don't see any potatoes anymore because all the chunks have been pureed.
Well, what else do we do now, or what's the
So
next
now,
step?
if this was loose, we would have to make a roux
And thicken it
and thicken it.
with butter and flour.
But we kind of don't need to do that. So sometimes I add a little butter. We did it with the onions just to make it buttery. So we might do that. And then we're going to add a little light cream.
And then I think you just salt and pepper to your liking, or more add a little pepper
Yeah.
in my book, and it's pretty much done.
As it had suggested, we're just gonna stir in a little bit of cream.
Just kind of.
Just kind of make it even more delicious and rich so that it just doesn't taste like potatoes and onions. And we stir that up until it's
cream now,
delicious. And again, I'm going to add a little pat more butter just to make it, since we didn't have to make the roux. Okay. So this is done. You can add chives on the top.
Like I said, it goes great with French bread. And you can spice it if you need a little more salt, add more salt. Yeah. But I like a little dash of pepper.
And I like to take the albumin off the egg.
Butter and sugar and just more.
There's going to be 2 eggs.
Just a clean egg.
Yeah.
2 eggs.
So always put an egg into a bowl.
Before you put it into anything.
Put it into anything, because you don't know what you're going to open here.
Yeah.
I think it's just beating the egg.
Okay.
So we're adding the flour. We don't add the salt anymore.
We don't like the salt.
We don't add the salt. We don't need to. It's in the butter.
Yeah.
And
2 cups of flour.
And 1 teaspoon
and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. It's not like Coca-Cola or any soda. And then once we put that in, we mix it until it's fully...
And vanilla. Does it ask for vanilla? I usually add vanilla.
It doesn't ask for it, but...
It doesn't ask for vanilla, but we're going to add it anyway.
Okay. So we added 2 cups of oats. You can use the old-fashioned, but we have these ones. And we have some walnuts, which you can get them chopped already. That's also good, but we're gonna have to chop them. And we have chocolate chips, which you add a cup's worth. A cup of chocolate chips and more if you love them.
And a cup of chopped walnuts.
And
we're gonna mix it all together.
And we mix it all together.
Chips and dough and Cam's wonderful chopped walnuts. We're gonna mix this all together and make cookies, which we bake actually on 375 until just light brown. You don't want them to be over brown, you want them to be chewy.
Okay, well, had it at 350, so crank it to 375 and 15 minutes?
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
But
ooh.
We're making one big cookie, so probably.
And this might be
up 10 to 15.
We end our show with a little sweet dessert.
All right, here's our cookie
so
going into the oven.
Laid it out in a big
used about
cookie
half of
thing.
it and making a big giant
We're
cookie.
gonna put this away for another day.
Yeah. Sometimes what we do is we roll it into balls and freeze it, and then whenever you want a nice warm cookie, it's ready to go. Yeah.
Well, thank you for cooking with the Crandalls.
Thank you for cooking with us.
Asparagus is getting cooked too.
We'll show you a picture of the finished plate.
This one's for the blooper reels, people. Don't worry, let's cut it. I think I just need to film you doing it.
Well, I'll try this. So, where are you taking a picture? Okay. All right, got me screwed up.
You screwed yourself up.
I'm gonna turn it off. Wait, it's still going.